campers! Today we're going to do something a little bit different. As you might have seen over the past few videos, my hair has grown some rather lovely roots. As you can tell when I'm sitting here, there's like black bits, which is obviously where the dye is, and then we've got these funny little blondie, brownie, if you're looking at my temples, grey whitey bits. And yeah, I figured it was about time that I covered them. Now usually when I dye my hair, I tend to get my hair cut first and then dye it. However, in this situation, obviously I can't do that, so I'm just going to cover my roots rather than do a whole full head dye. It has been about 8 weeks. No, it hasn't been 8 weeks. It's been 16 weeks since I last coloured my hair. Wow, that's an awfully long time. But okay, 16 weeks since I last coloured my hair. Last time I used Garnier Nutrice and did a whole full head dye rather than just roots. My hair is actually okay. I recently switched to a Lush shampoo bar that hasn't got any sulfates or anything in it, so I think that's helped keep the colour in for longer. It is starting to go a little bit brown at the roots, but it's still dark, and hey, my ends are damaged and split anyway, so it's not going to make a whole lot of difference to them probably. As I've said before, the dye that I usually use is Garnier Nutrice. I usually use that in natural black. However, I couldn't get any when I went to Asda to go and get some dye, so I have instead this one, which is Schwarzkopf Poly Tint, again in natural black. I'm hoping that there'll be a similar shade kind of colour. As long as it kind of matches or does something to darken these horrendous things. I mean, look, seriously, look at the state of it. Look, it's horrendous. It's horrible. Naturally, my hair is like a funny blondie, brownie, grey, whitey bit mix, so it definitely needs doing because it's bloody visible and I hate it. This one says that it has 100% grey coverage. I hope so. I hope it covers white hairs as well, because some of my white hairs are very, very stubborn, as I found out. I used to dye my hair red, and unfortunately I can't dye it red anymore because the dye doesn't stick to the grey or the white hairs. So it just looked a mess, so I decided I was going to go for a darker colour like a black and picked out this one, this kind of colour instead. I haven't used this kind of dye before, however I have used Schwarzkopf's other dyes. I used the Live XXL in the colour Cosmic Blue a few years ago to dye my hair, and that lasted absolutely ages. That was such a lovely dye. I've also used their bleaches and their semi-permanent dyes when I went through my phase of dyeing my hair pink, purple, blue, green, every colour under the rainbow when I was in my first year of university. Now this dye says that it has keratin hair straightener. Oh no, I got that wrong. Keratin hair strengthener, which strengthens the keratin structure of your hair while colouring to offer anti-damage protection. Well, hopefully that will work. My hair is quite fine and quite thin, so dyeing it tends to sort of fry my hair and leave it feeling very damaged and very straw-like. So hopefully my hair won't feel as bad. You'll notice as well that my hair is quite greasy, and yeah, I know a lot of you probably cringe and go, she's making a video while her hair's really greasy, how could she do that? The thing is, dye tends to take to my hair better when my hair's had a while in between washes, so I think I last washed my hair about 5 days ago. Yes, I know you're all cringing, however the natural oils protect my hair on the roots and my scalp a lot better from the dye when there's like an abundance of them rather than when there's none. And I know you could say use the oil powered dye, use the Garnier Olia, but I can't, I'm allergic to it, so there we are. Now I'm reading the contents on the side of the box, and it says 1 tube of colour cream, 1 bottle of developer lotion, a pair of gloves and an instruction leaflet. It's important to always read the instruction leaflet before you start, I'm going to do that in a minute. But I noticed that it doesn't come with any conditioner, so once I have dyed my hair, I will be following it up with the Pantene Colour Protect Intense Mask, and hopefully this will put a bit of added moisture back into my hair. I'm going to need it after it's been fried with this dye. I kind of touched on it briefly already by telling you that I'm allergic to the Garnier Olia. You do need to make sure that every time you dye your hair you do a patch test, regardless of whether this is your usual brand, whether it's the first time you've used it, or whether you've coloured your hair with it 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago. You need to do it every batch, every box, every time. You need to make sure that you do your patch test at least 48 hours before you dye your hair. This gives the dye time to sink into your skin basically, and it gives your skin a chance to react, to bring out the reaction so that it's noticeable. I always do my patch test on the day that I buy the dye. I tend to buy the dye 2 or 3 weeks in advance, and then the minute I get home, before I put the dye away, is open it out, get a cotton bud, dot a bit behind each of my ears, on the sides of my neck, and in the insides of my elbows. And I do this because my skin is different in different places. Behind my ears is a lot more sensitive, and so is the inside of my elbows. These ones are the most prone to showing up allergic responses, so I tend to dot them on here as well. I've had dyes react on this part of my skin but not behind my ears. No, in the end I've decided not to use them. So it's been about a week since I bought this dye now, so obviously last minute check, arms are definitely clear. When I checked my neck in the mirror earlier that was clear, and so was both of the dots behind my ears. So I'm quite confident that I'm not allergic to this dye, and I'm confident that I'm going to be okay using it. Usually when I dye my hair I get 2 boxes and I dye the whole thing rather than just the roots. However, this time I am just going to put this on my roots just to top up my colour and then basically work it down through to the ends. And I'm doing this because, as I've said before, I usually get my hair cut first, and this was the only box I could get. This was the only single box that Asda had left in my colour, so this is the colour I'm going to be using. I didn't much fancy having black hair with bright pink roots. Somehow I don't think that would work, and it'll look distinctly odd, so we have what we have. Before you start dyeing your hair, make sure that you brush your hair thoroughly, make sure you get all the knots out of it. Mine seems pretty much okay, but I'll give it another brush through. Make sure that you've got an old towel on standby to mop up any drips that might drip down the back of your neck. Make sure that you apply moisturiser, Vaseline or lip balm in my case, all around the outside of your hairline and across your ears. This just makes sure that if you drop any dye or it's a bit runnier than you're expecting it to be and it's got to run down your face, that it's not going to stain. If you do that, then you can just wipe the moisturiser straight off and then it's not stained your skin. If you're like me and you tend to apply your dye a little bit messily and sort of miss the bits that you've like carefully protected, you can use toner. I've got here toning pads to wipe it off your skin afterwards. This is slightly more effective for semi-permanent rather than permanent dyes like I usually use. However, it does get the worst of it off, so it kind of works. There are hair dye removal wipes that you can use, and I'm pretty sure the base ingredient in that, as well as this, is alcohol, so obviously alcohol works better as a solvent. But I find that after going over with a bit of toner and a couple of cleanses, it usually comes off my skin pretty much okay anyway. So now, let's get down to the dyeing. Aha, wave goodbye to the roots. Hello.
Don't put me in it, oh my god.
He's not happy. Go on then, get my roots painted.
Where can I stick this?
Gives me on.
You're that. Right. I'm sorry if I ruin your hair completely because this first one's a mess.
Jaden, the dye's black and my hair's black, it's not like you're bleaching it.
I don't care. Do you want to switch?
I will try and multitask.
I'll do it. I don't trust. Well, it's not that I don't trust you.
It doesn't seem that runny, so it's fine.
It's not that I don't trust you. It's that I don't trust you.
Says it all really, doesn't it?
Right, I've done that bit. Do I flip your hair around now? What?
Yeah, flip it over. Just as long as you cover all the blonde bits, we'll be able to see them. And make sure you get all the bits
How
at the
do I
front
even
as
flip that? I don't know.
well. No, not that much. You only do a bit at a time.
I don't know which bit I flip. That's fine. I'll do this bit at the start. We'll come back to that bit. It's all good.
Do the bits at the front first as well.
I went for the bit in the middle. I don't know where hair starts and hair ends, to be honest. Well, it smells like hairdressers.
But is it just ready to go peroxide in it?
It's hair product, what do you expect?
Oh look, it's going on. Ooh, that's kind of exciting. Well, campers, the dye is on. As you can see, blubbed it on my face, didn't I? Blobbed it a bit round the edges. Okay. I let myself off on that one. Yeah, so I've just got Jaden to finish applying it and then smooshed it through my hair to make sure that I've got all the little bits. It looks like I've got every bit. So yeah, I'm going to clean up, leave it to develop for 30 minutes like it says in the instructions, and then I'll wash it out and plop my conditioning mask on. So then campers, finished result. What to say? Yeah, well. Fail, I think, is the right terminology here. This hair dye, it promised natural black on the outside of the tin, and it definitely wasn't. Like, my roots are like a dark brown now. Admittedly, okay, it's kind of like dark enough for me to get away with it. At least it is in this light. However, if I were to go outside, as my mother very kindly pointed out when I went out in the evening sunlight and the sun caught my roots, it looks like I haven't got any dye in my hair at all. Not the result I was hoping for, considering that my hair is predominantly medium blonde and the colour the packet promised on that shade of hair was black. So yeah, not good. And then we've got the fact that the dye in my lower parts is patchy. I'm not sure if that's because I have more greys and white hair that are in the lower parts, and that's why the dye hasn't stuck to them. But the dye packet did promise 100% grey coverage. Yeah, well, clearly not, because it's not stuck to bits that are greyish. I mean, I already have grey hairs poking back through at my temples again that were definitely covered in dye yesterday, and it's just not stuck at all. And then we come to the biggest problem, which is in bright artificial light, such as in my bathroom, my hair looks green. Yes, green. You heard that correctly, green. After I'd finished dyeing my hair, walked into the bathroom, put the light on, and sat there in the mirror looking at my hair and was like, oh my god, my roots are green. They're like a funny, murky, browny, greeny, river coloured blech colour. I was like, oh no. I have to be honest, I am forever thankful that I don't have to go out the house so much at this moment in time, because it means that I've got time to get some more dye and dye it again. Right now, I have to admit, I am none too impressed at all. This dye, I suppose you get what you pay for. I mean, this poly tint cost me £2. The Garnier Nutrice I usually buy it when it's on offer, when it's on 2 for £9, so that's £4.50 a box. Infinitely better, covers my greys, covers my whites, and generally doesn't look green in artificial light, or doesn't look invisible when I go outside. So that will be something I definitely stick with in the future. Poly tint, nah. Never ever going to use that again. I don't care if it's the last dye left on the shelf. I would rather have my natural manky coloured roots and them to be like 6 inches long than use poly tint again. I'm sorry, Schwarzkopf, your live dyes are fantastic. I've used them quite a lot during my earlier colouring days, semi-permanent and permanent, and they were infinitely better than this shite really that calls itself poly tint. Would I advise you to buy it? No. Would I recommend it? Absolutely not. One thing I will say is that my hair does look very shiny. However, I think that was down to the conditioning mask I used after the dye. I'll post a full review of that later on the channel when I've had a chance to review it properly. Yeah, I think that's the only positive, is that my hair currently is very shiny and feels very soft and silky. Me, I'm quite happy to put this whole experience to bed. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a little thumbs up. Don't forget to say hi in the comments, and if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, more hair dye fails, some fun with some face masks, some pub science wisecracking tricks, click the subscribe button. See you soon. Bye.